300 people last night. These responders found extremely frigid conditions. They found heavy wind, they found ice on the water, and they're operated all night in those conditions. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the agencies that responded in addition to DC Fire and EMS and Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority, Montgomery County Fire Department, the Prince George's County Fire Department, the Charles County Fire Department, the Baltimore County Police Department, the Anne Arundel County Fire Department, the Alexandria Fire Department, the Arlington County Fire Department, the Fairfax Fire Department, the Prince William Fire Department, the Baltimore City Police Department, the Maryland State Police, the Maryland Natural Resources Police, the Department of Defense, the Joint Base in Bowling Fire Department and the staff there, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Coast Guard, the United States Park Police, the Metropolitan Police Department, the FBI, and the NTSB. Despite all those efforts, we are now at a point where we are switching from a rescue operation to a recovery operation. At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident, and we have recovered 27 people from the plane and 1 from the helicopter. The District Office of the Medical Examiner has lead on reuniting these bodies and these people with their loved ones, and we will continue to work to find all the bodies and collect them and reunite them with their loved ones. We should also acknowledge that the Virginia Medical Examiner and the Army Medical Examiner are involved in this operation and a very important part of getting the people identified. So.
Our hearts are certainly with all of the crew in American Airlines, and we'll hear from CEO Isom.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. I'm Robert Isom, the CEO of American Airlines. I want to express my sincere condolences for the accident that happened at DCA last night. We're absolutely heartbroken for the family and loved ones of the passengers and crew members, and also for those that were on the military aircraft. Our focus right now is doing everything that we can to support all of those involved and also the PSA Airlines team. This is devastating. We are all hurting incredibly. We urge any family and friends looking for information about their loved ones to call our designated helpline, and that's at 1-800-679-8215, 1-800-679-8215. And here's what I can share at this early stage. American Eagle Flight 5342, operated by PSA Airlines, traveling from Wichita, Kansas to Reagan National Airport, was involved in an accident just before 9 p.m. local time on final approach into Reagan National. It collided with a military aircraft on an otherwise normal approach. And at this time, we don't know why the military aircraft came into the path of the PSA aircraft. Flight 5342, a CRJ 700, was under the command of 4 crew members. They carried 60 passengers, as you know, for a total of 64 people on board. In addition to local resources already here in DC, American Airlines has activated our care team, and that's a group of specialists that are trained to support these types of responses. These team members are on site or arriving soon. And additionally, we have members of our GO team that are on ground here in DC, and they're being deployed resources to do everything that we can to take care of the needs of the families and the loved ones of the passengers and crew members. And that is our sole focus. And we're so grateful for the first responders. They've been working through the night, courageous efforts. And we're actively working with local, state, and federal authorities on emergency response efforts and closely coordinating with PSA Airlines as they cooperate fully with the NTSB on
everything was standard in the lead up to the crash. Now, obviously, something happened here. You'll get more information and more details as this investigation moves forward. We'll learn what happened. But again, those who live in the D.C. area, we see military helicopters fly up and down the river. It's a standard path that they fly. They're used to aircraft landing at DCA, and there's a procedure in place because this happens every day. Something went wrong here. I look forward to the time and point when we can give you that information, but I don't want to comment on that right now.
Okay, next.
Senator Payne, Senator Warner, you all have been very vocal about your concerns about busy runways here, air traffic. I know it's still early in the investigation. I'm just curious if any steps that you all plan to take to address that.
We have raised this issue continuously. We've got very busy airspace. I think we will ask questions, but at the appropriate time. We are in this period right now where families are still being notified. We're trying to figure out what happened. There'll be time for those discussions, I think.
Yeah, I just say the same thing. We've been pretty plain about our concerns, but it isn't a good time to speculate right now. We have faith that the NTSB will provide the answers about this.
Okay, you fourth here, and I'm going to take 3 in the middle, and then we're going to have to wrap 1, 2, 3 after this young man.
Thank you, appreciate it. Chief, I know, again, I can imagine it must be traumatic for your first responders to have to deal with this. How are they doing right now, and are you all going to be offering any services to help them as they process this?
So thank you for the question. Our first responders are resilient people, but yes, this call will be hard for them. Our peer support teams are already engaged with the responders, and we'll be following up on that to make sure that they're okay. But I think the concern is real.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. What kind of communication was there between the helicopter and the tower, the plane and the tower, and the helicopter and the plane?
I don't want to say too much on the communication between the helicopter and the tower and the airline and the tower, but I will say this: there was communication. It was I would say standard communication. So there was not a breakdown, if that's your question, in communication between the military helicopter and the American airline flight. There was communication between the aircraft and the tower.
Was the plane aware there was a helicopter in the area?
I would say the helicopter was aware that there was a plane in the area.
You mentioned that, so the president, you said yesterday that he called into the briefing room. Has he returned to the briefing room since then? Have you spoken? Also a question about the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz. He's saying that there was 30 bodies that have been recovered. He just said that at the White House. Curious, I know you're in this presser right now, so that's hard for you to update, but I do have the question posed in the briefing room.
I can do the body question first. So in terms of body recovery, as we recover bodies, we have a process, and we're not counting any bodies until they're in the possession of the medical director. So there may be some fluctuating in numbers that other people would report, but our numbers from the medical examiner.
So just in regard to the president in the briefing room, I've been with this team for the last hour plus as we've worked through the details of the information we wanted to give you. But it is my understanding that either this morning he was going to be in the Situation Room, or the Situation Room is obviously briefing the president. He has been kept in full appraisal of what is taking place.
Okay, last two, you and you ma'am. First.
You mentioned that the aircraft were on a standard flight pattern. Just curious, when the airport opens at 11 today, will planes be on that flight pattern again, or are they being directed to fly a different way to land?
Jack, do you want to? Okay.
Well, I mean, safety is paramount, and I don't have that information quite yet from the FAA, so I don't want to provide an information I don't want to provide an answer or inaccurate information on what routes will be flown out of DCA.
Okay, last one.
Two questions really quickly. What do you know about the experience and history of the pilots of both the American Airlines plane and the Army Black Hawk helicopter? And then for Secretary Duffy, last night the president had said that this could have been prevented and questioned why air traffic control didn't tell a helicopter what to do. Is that something that investigators have determined should have happened in this situation?
So do you want
I can quickly, Secretary. Just quickly, I don't have a lot of information to release, but these are experienced pilots. I know that the captain had 6 years with PSA, or almost 6 years with PSA, and the first officer almost 2 years. Again, standard approach, and that's about all I can say. Thank you.
In regard to the military, I don't have information in regard to the experience of the military pilots. I would just note that this was classified as a training mission. Sometimes people could think that a training mission is someone who is inexperienced in the cockpit. We call these missions that are flown in the D.C. area as our pilots are getting hours in experience training missions. So don't read into that we had how many hours the pilots on the military aircraft had. And you had another question for me that was?
Last night, the president had said that this could be prevented, and also that air traffic control, questioning why they may not have communicated with the helicopter, telling them what to do.
So we are going to wait for all the information to come in from this vantage point, but to back up what the president said, what I've seen so far, do I think this was preventable? Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an acting FAA director?
Thank you, everyone.